to Nip of Courage HQ and welcome to today's Gin Masterclass. So my name's Phoebe. I am the marketing assistant at Nip of Courage. I've been with Nip of Courage since the beginning of this year. I've got a background in hospitality, working in bars, restaurants and pubs, and now at Nip of Courage I'm allowed to join the finer things in life, so that's really great. And today I have joining me, it's Jess.
Hey. Cool, so I'm Jess. I'm part of the sales support team at Nip of Courage and I've been here for a little over a year now. Prior to that, I had a pretty long rap sheet of hospo industry as well, but I never really got to work in bars that dealt with craft spirits. So I have a newfound appreciation for them, and I actually always thought that I hated gin prior to working here, and it wasn't until I realised that there's so many different twists and flavours that you can enjoy, and it doesn't really have to taste like the cheap and nasty stuff that, I've really come to learn that there's pretty much a gin for everyone out there. So we are hoping to showcase a range of those for you today, and they all kind of really draw nice inspiration from their surrounds using natural botanicals as well, which is a nice twist.
Great. So should we jump into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Woohoo! Alright, so first gin today we have is Wildbrumby's Classic Gin. So Wildbrumby is based in the Australian Snowy Mountains. It is nestled in the Thredbo Valley, to be exact. The founder, Brad Spalding, grew up in the New South Wales and Victorian fruit belt and is the son of fruit and vegetable merchant and a publican. He began working as a ski instructor in Victoria, and this led to him meeting his wife Monica when he was in the Austrian Alps. Monica's grandfather was a distiller of schnapps, and thus they brought the history and knowledge with them back to Australia. With their backgrounds combined, Brad and Monica ventured into creating a range of schnapps, and now gin. Alright, so the gin we have today, as I said, is the Classic Gin. The distillery utilises their direct access to pristine alpine waters, organically grown fruit, and native mountain botanicals. The award-winning gin was first released in 2016. It's a contemporary blend of Australian botanicals and is distilled in the traditional London style. It has fresh and contemporary aromatic profiles, combining unique mineral trace elements and hand-picked botanicals to create a smooth and satisfying spirit. So if you want to grab this one and give it a little taste. Now what's interesting about the Wildbrumby gin is that Brad and Monica actually distill their own neutral-based spirit. So gins can be made from a range of neutral-based spirits, from grain to cane. There's even a distillery in Tasmania that uses potatoes. In the case of Wildbrumby, as I said, it's a great neutral distilled spirit. And when we're tasting the gin, we can taste that it's blended with a pH-balanced mountain spring water to give it a soft and satisfying mouthfeel. The juniper is balanced with native botanicals, such as the hand-picked mountain pepperberry that grows wild in the Snowy Mountains, along with organic citrus fruits from the family orchard. Actually, when you go to the distillery itself, they have a botanical garden out the back where you can actually roam through and sort of feel and smell all the kinds of things that you'll find in this gin.
So that has pepperberry in it, you said, yeah?
It has pepperberry in it.
Gives it that kind of spicy.
So if I wanted to have it in a mixed drink, all of these gins are good enough to drink neat, but if I wanted to have it as a mixed drink, I would personally put it with tonic, and it does have that pepperberry, so playing on that, we kind of want to bring a sweetness to it, so even fresh raspberries, and maybe a sprig of fresh mint to kind of freshen up the flavours. It's very lovely.
Yeah, it's good.
So we might go on to the next one, which is Stonepine.
Yeah. Stonepine Distillery is located out at Bathurst, and they've got really nice setup there. Unfortunately, there's no cellar door open to public, but I've had the pleasure of being able to go out there myself and visit. And the lovely Ian Glenn runs the distillery there, and him and his wife Bev have their roots steeped in the Scottish brewing and distilling industry. And when they moved to Australia in 2006, they had the aim of establishing Bathurst's first micro distillery. He utilises premium quality raw materials and also has a really particular interest in Australian botanicals. So whenever he can harvest those locally, particularly around the region of Bathurst, he will. And with this truffle gin, he's used 3 different truffleries within 50-kilometre region of the distillery itself. Ian keeps processing to a minimum to really showcase the natural flavours, and he's really interesting in particular because he kind of does something quite unique that not a lot of distilleries do, in that he distills all of the botanicals separately. And the reason behind that is that gives him really good quality control to make sure that season to season the flavours remain consistent and the same for every batch that he makes. To complement the truffle, the gin also showcases flavours of black pepper, flaked salt, juniper berries, coriander seed and orris root. So it's certainly not your average gin. And whilst it can be enjoyed neat or on ice, we also, could use it in a cocktail like a gin martini. So in the black truffle gin martini, you would have 4 parts gin and 1 part semi-sweet vermouth, and then pour it into a nice chilled martini glass.
Beautiful.
And to top it off,
there's more.
There's more. It gets more exciting. For like a really nice garnish, you get a fresh sage leaf, and then in a saucepan, put it on high, and then heat up some butter and salt. Fry up the sage leaf in there, and then once it's all crunchy, float it on top, and it just really tops it off.
Delicious. Can't wait to try that one, Jess. Sounds amazing. So, we're now going down to our friends in sunny Victoria, to the Imbue Distillery, which is just in the outer suburbs of Melbourne. The distillery is headed by Mel and Mick, and they share 30 years experience in Melbourne's food industry, from retail to wholesale to bakeries, catering and even hatted restaurants. They're not afraid to play with flavours and really push the boundaries to bring both new and nostalgic experiences to their creations. So the one we have here today is the Suburban Gin. Now, every detail down to the label design and ingredients were inspired by Mick's childhood memories, full of Aussie backyard nostalgia and giving the spirit some heart and soul. It uses a smooth, grape-based spirit starring locally abundant botanicals from Melbourne's fringe suburbs. The flavours are bold, spicy, and with the unmistakable pine aroma of juniper and the nutty warmth of coriander. Now, let's have a quick taste. So we can really see the sunflower seed oils carry this grassy fennel and ginger heat through the burst of lemon to have a crisp finish. So with the Suburban Gin, as I was saying, there is quite a little funny little story to it. So everything on the label is bringing us back to Mick's backyard when he was a kid. So we've got the Hills hoist and the lawn chair, lovely green grass, family pet. Anyway, Mick and his sister were playing a game of hide and seek. And Mick's sister fell into a blackberry bush, which is not...
Doesn't sound that pleasant.
No, it's not great. So the story goes that Mick's dad got out the whippersnipper because she was really stuck in there, and started whippersnippering all around this blackberry bush, and just he remembers these really distinct aromas of blackberry and even that grassy sort of smell that comes through in this gin. And that story is really distinctive when you're tasting this gin. So with that in mind, if we wanted to put this into a cocktail, we could even muddle some blackberries to sort of play on that little story and make our own gin bramble with it. It goes down quite the treat.
Lovely.
Lovely. And we should move on to our friends at Kangaroo Island.
Okay, so next up we've got Kangaroo Island Spirits Wild Gin, and they're based on Kangaroo Island, which is off the coast of South Australia. So they're formed by partners John and Sarah Lark, and they originally set out to establish Australia's first dedicated gin distillery where they wanted to do things a traditional way. So they went and did their research over in London, and then with that knowledge they came back to Kangaroo Island and began their journey there. Okay, so this gin is uniquely distilled with Boobiala, which is an Australian native botanical that's basically the Australian version of a juniper. So it does feature juniper in there as well, but it's got that nice native twist to it. And yeah, you can definitely smell it. It actually gives it a really nice kind of floral, sweeter taste than a juniper as well.
Feels very juniper forward, but at the same time very delicate as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got fresh local limes balanced with the perfumed mint that's picked from their garden too. There is a bit of a warmth to it, and that's due to the pink peppercorns that are included there too. So there's a bit of a balance going on, but I think the floral notes kind of make it a lot more delicate.
Delish.
So because this gin also has the lime notes to it and, you know, that bit of a citrus twist, it's really good in a mule. So yeah, you could put a dash of ginger beer in there, twist of lime if you really wanted to play on those citrus notes, and you're good to go.
And the mule provides a quite good alternative for people that aren't really big fans of gin and tonic, because I know tonic can be quite divisive.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people think they don't like gin, but it's actually tonic that they don't like. You know, most people, they introduce to gin by drinking it with tonic. So it's definitely nice to showcase that you can drink it with a variety of different mixes.
Have to give that one a try. Right, next we're going to go to our friends at Karu. So Karu is a distillery in Grose, Vale in New South Wales. It's headed by Nick and Ali Ayres, who are a young distilling power couple, quite new on the scene. At the moment they've got 2 gins out. They have the Lightning, which is the navy strength, and then they have the original, the Affinity, which is a lovely gin that we're going to taste. The Affinity gin is quite juniper forward with a subtle hint of spice, like think Christmas pudding kind of spice. It's got a semi-sweet citrus and floral nose, leaving a naturally sweet, warming finish with the help of Australian-grown vanilla beans and almonds. So it's kind of got that nutty finish with it as well, which is quite interesting. A lot of the botanicals that are used in this gin are foraged in the local region. So the distillery is actually located in the Devil's Wilderness, as it's called, and it is quite the sight. It's a scene that needs to be seen, to be believed. And many of the botanicals come from either the region itself, or there is a botanical garden actually next to the distillery. So if we're going to use this one in a cocktail, Karu actually have a thing that they like to call G&T, tea spelled T-E-A. And it comes in like a little tea bag you can buy on their online store, and you can use it to infuse the Affinity gin, give it a bit of colour. It also gives it a bit of sweetness. Again, it kind of helps the gin along for people that are kind of new to gin and maybe need that sweeter flavour to ease into it. And then just a little bit of infusion in a gin and tonic is really lovely, and it's got quite a nice purple colour to it as well, which everyone's really into their pink gins these days, so, you know, why not make your own?
Yeah, brighten it up.
Yeah, so if we want to give this a little taste, a little smell, see what we think. That's some good gin, and they're newbies, so I'm really excited to see like what else that they can come out with in the future. They're definitely one to watch.
So last but not least, we have Reed & Co.'s Remedy Gin. Reed & Co. are based in the Alpine region of northeast Victoria, and the distillery itself is situated in the centre of the town of Bright.
Yeah, right.
So there you've got distillers Hamish and Rachel, who are also accomplished chefs, and they really draw inspiration from their creations from the natural surroundings that reflect the landscape of where they're based. And I mean, that comes right down to the label of the bottle as well. So you can see that their design, their whole ethos, everything is really about the landscape that they're based in, and highlighting all those wonderful things the Australian bush has to offer. Speaking of the label, there will actually be a new bottle coming to the shelves. So I think we've got one of those laying around somewhere. And if you can't find this bottle, it may look like this. So it's still the great original flavour of the Remedy gin, but they've just updated their labels to look like this one, and there's still a bit of a throwback to the original one on the back there. So now for what's inside the bottle. The Remedy gin is an Australian dry gin with traditional roots. So it's a spicy gin up front with juniper and mountain pepperberry. So it really gives it that punch.
Let's have a taste.
Yes, let's. It's really beautiful to drink neat, and while you're kind of focusing on all those flavours, we like to liken it to being in the Aussie bush, taking a bit of a stroll just after the rain. You can really get those nice piney and eucalyptus flavours coming through, and the pine needles that they use in this are actually sourced from around the property as well, so that's a really nice touch. So along with shiso, the eucalyptus, apple and tea kind of come through there for a nice clean finish. And if you were wanting to try something other than drinking it neat or on ice, we'd recommend popping this one in a Negroni. So it's pretty simple with a nice punchy flavour. All those flavours really tie through nicely. So you do 1 part gin, 1 part bitter orange liqueur, and 1 part sweet vermouth. And all those flavours kind of tie together really nicely for a bit of a punchy cocktail.
Love a Negroni.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah, nice Aussie twist on it though.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for us today. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope you had fun and learn a bit more about the Aussie gins that we have to offer. If you do want to grab a bottle for yourself, you can head online to nipofcourage.com. And we also have some great tasting notes and other cocktail serving suggestions there too. So there's always more to learn on our website. And remember, support Australian craft distillers.